supports. You know what I mean?
Let's find
Other
out.
than his own pockets.
Here he is, Chris Mannix. How are you, Chris?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Mannix? Hey, did you study up on Sacramento Kings stuff like I asked you to? This ain't a Boston Celtics friendly show here. We're talking Kings here, big fella.
You study up on a league that I cover on a regular basis, Draper. And I know it's a Kings-centric show. I saw you in Vegas walking around with your Sacramento Kings gear, basically hoping that someone will recognize you in either Thomas and Mack or Cox Pavilion. Like, you're one of those guys. Like, you're on Cameo, aren't you? I bet you're on Cameo.
Damn, Skippy. I've made a couple of $1,000 off of Cameo.
That's a good
I am. Cameo.
Hey, can we clip this? I'm going to use this as part of an ad, a commercial or something. Get the word out there.
Chris, what were some of the things besides seeing Kyle Draper everywhere that stood out to you about Summer League so far?
I'm very intrigued by Young Hansen, and I was killing the pick when it happened because I had sent some. When it happens, like, I don't know a lot about this guy. I sent a few text messages to people that cover the draft process. I didn't get a lot of enthusiastic responses. Basically people saying he's kind of a backup big, he's got a limited skill set, blah blah blah. I don't think those people really studied him well enough. Just watching him play, and I think I saw about 2.5 games of the Blazers during Summer League, the last one on Tuesday. There's real skill there. Like, he's 7 foot something, can shoot the three, is a natural passer. I saw him make some very Jokic-y, Arvydas Sabonis-y passes from the top of the key. He's just got a talent. Like, obviously, he's 20 years old. Physically, especially with his upper body, he's got to get a lot stronger. But I think there's a player in there, and I'm really curious to see how that plays out. The other guy I watched a lot because he's a guy I can't believe so many people passed on. Like Jahani Broom, who Philadelphia scooped up at 35.
Steal.
I'm telling you, I don't get a lot right, but I was banging the drum on Jahani Broom for the months before the draft. Like, this was the runner-up to National Player of the Year, a guy that can play off the dribble, play through the post, looks NBA ready, which, as you guys know, that is like the most coveted commodity. If you can get a cheap NBA ready player for a contending team, that's a no-brainer. He goes all the way to 35 with Philadelphia. He's shooting 45.5% from three in Summer League. If he can get even close to that in the NBA, he's going to be part of the Sixers rotation next year. I couldn't believe that so many teams looked at his age. He'd be 23. I think today's his birthday. He's going to be 20 to 23 years old. That's why teams passed on him. He is going to be a player in this league. To me, that's a second-round steal.
I'm with you. And the thing about it, you recited the numbers, Chris, but when you watch him shoot that three, he looks comfortable out there. The shot looks good, no hesitation. With that being said, Chris, you mentioned the steals. We didn't get to see Ace Bailey a whole lot. We only saw Cooper Flagg a couple of games. VJ Edgecombe was banged up as well. What about the top of the draft? Who's standing out, and what stood out to you about the top of the draft?
Well, let me first say that, like, load management at Summer League is just weird. These guys should be playing every single game, and then they can go home for 2 months and wait for, training camp to start. Well, let me start with Bailey. Like, I've talked to a lot of Jazz people about Ace Bailey, and to say they're enthusiastic about his potential is an understatement. They do think that the offense is going to be a work in progress. He's really raw on that end of the floor when it comes to understanding concepts and finding his own shot. But they think defensively he's going to be able to come in and play right away. I mean, I watched a little bit on TV of the Utah Summer League. He had some blocks in that Summer League that were really impressive. Like, and if you're the Jazz, like maybe someone like Jeremiah Fears is going to be a player, but you just couldn't take someone like that at this stage of your development. You need a potential franchise player. And I think Ace Bailey is a potential franchise player if everything about him pans out. And then, look, I did a cover story on Cooper Flagg. I spent a lot of time with him and his family over the last couple of months. I think he's really special. Like, he's one of those guys, Brian Scalabrine, your pal, Kyle, he called him a supercomputer, and he worked with him extensively in Boston. He said he's got the same kind of mind that a LeBron James has, where he's able to take information, process it, implement it. I think by the second half of this season, Cooper Flagg's been playing at a pretty high level. That's why I always look at that team and say, if Kyrie comes back around the All-Star break and Cooper Flag develops in the way I think he's going to develop, that's a team to watch in the postseason this year, not just in the 26-27 season.
Wow, that's Chris Mannix from Sports Illustrated. Chris, I don't know how much of the Kings at Summer League you've gotten to see, but based on the way they've played, you pencil the Kings in for 50, 55, or 60 wins this regular season.
I saw a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if any of the guys I saw are going to be playing for the Kings necessarily, during the regular season. Look, I mean, Sacramento's good. It's a good team. It's just in a conference of killers.
Yeah.
Where all the teams that finish behind Sacramento, save one or two, are looking to make moves this year. I mean, the Pelicans, I watched Derek Queen play. I know he just got injured and is going to be out for a few months, but he looks like he's got some game to him. We know San Antonio is making moves. Portland, putting the Lillard deal aside, they expect to be in the mix next year with the development of some of their guys. I mean, I just think it's such a rock fight every single night. And while I like some of the talent in Sacramento, obviously Zach and DeMar can play, and Malik Monk can play. I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be really difficult to do anything but kind of battle for one of those play-in slots at the end of the season. It's not a knock on some of the guys they have. It's just if you're in the Eastern Conference, you're a playoff team. I mean, it's kind of the way it is. But in the Western Conference, man, the team that finishes 13th might be the 5th seed in the East. That's how good the conference is compared to its counterpart.
Chris Mannix joining us. Chris, when you look at Scott Perry, his draft, bringing in Dennis Schroeder, obviously, he's been around the league for, a couple of decades. What do you make of the Kings hiring him and the task at hand for him trying to turn this thing around?
Yeah, I like Scott. They did a credible job in New York when he was there. I covered him more out there. He's got experience, multiple teams within the league. So I think it's a good, solid hire for the Kings. I mean, Schroeder, he kind of is what he is. How many number of teams have Dennis Schroeder at this point? Like 10? Like,
yeah.
He's been around the block. He kind of is what he is. Like, if you give him the ball and allow him to get up, double-digit shots, he's going to get you double-digit points. Like, that's sort of who he is at this point. He can make some defensive stops as well. So he's a nice little fit there. But, this is a team I think that has some big decisions to make in the next, couple of years. You've got a veteran-laden roster that clearly has a ceiling. A ceiling to it. You still need, a real point guard, long term. Is Sabonis the right fit for this team long term? There's going to be a lot of a deep analysis that Scott Perry and his new staff are going to have to do on this team and decide if it's the kind of group that you want to continue to add on to and build around, or is the kind of group that you look to, unfortunately tear down and try to build back up again.
What's your thoughts on that, Chris, in terms of, tearing it apart, sort of like Utah did, some of these other teams, or, sort of like Miami, try to stay relevant and build on the fly? What's your take on that?
I don't like the Miami approach. I know the Heat have had success with it. I think you've got to go one of two directions. Either you're trying to win a championship or you're trying to break it all apart to rebuild the next championship team. I don't know, off the top of my head, I don't have the Kings draft capital, but I think they've got a lot of their picks in the future.
Yeah, they have their number ones for the foreseeable. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have that, like, they're not in a Milwaukee situation where you don't have control of your own first. If you have control of your own first, it gives you options. I mean, just being honest, looking at this objectively, DeRozan in his 30s, Sabonis, a good player, but can you win with his limitations defensively? The lack of a true point guard on the roster. I don't know. I think if you got to look around the league and say, if there's a market for a Sabonis, if there's a market for a DeRozan in a potential deal, I think you got to look long and hard at it. I mean, look, the Jazz are in a tough spot. And look, I know Danny Ainge is going to be beyond frustrated at the team's lack of lottery success over the last couple of years. I mean, they were just hanging Cooper Flag jerseys outside that building, during the season. They were really hoping to get their hands on him. But you got to have franchise type players. And I don't look at the Kings as being a team that, Zach LaVine kind of is, but beyond that, they don't really have that guy yet. And to compete, not just in that conference, but for a championship, it's difficult. Look, and Scott has kind of a blank slate here. He's coming in. He didn't do any of the things that got the Kings, to this point. It's got to be incredibly disappointing for Kings fans that were part of that 46 win season. That that they rose up the playoff bracket, the playoff rankings, did really well. Like to see it in this position now has got to be incredibly frustrating. But sometimes you got to make tough decisions, and I think Scott may be faced with making some really tough decisions.
Chris Mannix, we always appreciate your time. And just so you know, Drapes takes shots at you here and there, but when you're going to come on, he's so excited.
That's my guy.
Chris Mannix is going to come on. So just so you know, no matter what he says, he gets very excited when you're going to come on.
What's the cameo go for? 99 cents? What are we selling?
I've raised it. Dude, I think I'm at like $50 now, bro. Like,
there is no way I would pay $50 for any kind of message from you, just to be clear.
That's messed up, man. I know you miss me out there. You miss me in Boston. I know you do. I know you do. It's all right, man.
Thank you, Chris.
You got it, guys.
That's tough. That's tough. Dude, he's messing me up. I may have to lower my price now after dealing with this guy. Jeez.
When we come back.